Okay, I know I'm not the first person to make a video talking about this, and I'm sure as hell ain't gonna be the last, but I gotta get my thoughts out on these. I have never been so happy to be this wrong in my life. So, if you remember, towards the end of December, we got the reveal of this new CGI Motorized Thomas, and it looks sick. Since the image to the original listing of what it popped up on was of an On Engines Go Motorized Young Bao or Percy, I can't remember which one it was, I'm pretty sure that this taking its place was just an accident, and it wasn't supposed to be revealed like this, but it was supposed to be a new item that was to be released for the 80th anniversary. Then in January and February, we got images of a new push-along Thomas made for Mattel's 80th anniversary Ruby line. And yeah, as a diecast lover, I lost my mind over this as well. A lot of people were hoping that with the reveal of these new Thomas molds, there would be more engines made in this style, and even though I would have liked to see that come true, I wasn't too hopeful, as I felt as though that these were made solely for the 80th anniversary of the series and Mattel's as well, and Thomas was more than likely going to be the only character they made. And if not, I also didn't see them making characters beyond anyone in the current Steam team, so like, no Edward or Toby, but maybe Diesel? I would have just guessed like James, Percy, Nia, and Gordon if we were lucky. And then on March 2nd, this video that I can't pronounce because I only speak America, but it's a Toy Fair video, drops, and my god, I was so happy I was wrong. Never in my life did I think we would be getting stuff like this. At least stuff like a CGI motorized duck or a push-along Henry. I was just at a loss for words when I saw these. I know everyone was, but man, these made me so happy. So amongst this lineup, we have two different push-along Thomases, ones that don't have the Ruby running board like on the other model. One of them seems to be a standard Thomas, whilst the other has a blacked out cab door, and this appears to be a possible Railway Series variant based on this image here. And wow, even the packaging artwork for the toy looks beautiful. Some have said that it gives like Earl packaging vibes with its colors and the retro logo, and it really does. Wouldn't know if they took inspiration from that style of packaging or not though. Along with Thomas are Percy, James, and Henry, of all characters. Percy looks so freaking good in this style. He's perfect. James is a bit mixed. His proportions look alright, but I don't like that he has a shorter stack on him in comparison to Thomas and Percy because his cab just towers over it. He also reuses his All Engines Go push-along tender because that one lacked the front buffer beam, and you can tell too because of the slanted ends. Hopefully it doesn't look like that on the final model. I'm not sure how finalized a lot of these models are. I wouldn't expect molds on any of them to change. Perhaps some could have less paint or different colors, but I'm pretty content with what's shown here. James unfortunately also has gray wheels, which also take from his All Engines Go models having them too. He also has gold coupling rods for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if they'll change to silver on his final release, or if this was done to not make the silver blend in with his gray-ass wheels. Henry surprisingly is in this roster of characters, and like with James, he doesn't seem perfect, but he still looks real finger-looking good. And then the motorized engines, oh my god, this was sick. We have the Thomas and the car that was shown in that image all those months ago, as well as two additional variants. There's this one here that has a tall-ass cab, and by the look of the big blob on his cab roof, I'm gonna say that this is a new talking Thomas. And then there's this Thomas with weathering on the side and a painted gray running board. I don't know what to say about this, and he's not the only one. Percy as well has a variant with a gray running board, and while Gordon and James's aren't visible, I took notice of the fact that the two packs of Thomas, Percy, James, and Gordon lacked the painted buffer detailing, but these three packs featuring them had them. So it's possible that these two have gray running boards too, we just don't have a proper view of them yet. Of course, Nia won't have it, though. It's still crazy that they even bothered to give them painted running boards anyway. Not counting Bachman, you don't really see Western Thomas merch giving those who have it a gray running board, but that's still cool to see, and I hope they stay on their final versions. Though this seems to be a thing for only these three packs. As for the other tank engines, they look great as well. Percy, like his push-along model, is just about perfect, and Nia looks really good as well. Her original Trackmaster mod was already pretty good, her playride looked like garbage. This one, I want to say, is on par with her original Trackmaster, but I'd like to get better pics of it first before I give my final conclusion. The tender engines are a bit hit and miss in some areas. I already assumed back when that new Thomas dropped that the tender engines, proportion-wise, wouldn't look that great due to the taller and wider style, especially with how the motorized All Engines Go tender engines look. The smaller engines looked fine in that style because of the taller and wider style, but there were limitations with the longer engines, and unless they sacrificed the chassis that they used for all the engines, they weren't going to make the CGI ones longer, and there's no way they were ever going to give them bogies either. So yeah, James and Gordon don't look the best. Scotsman was a hella shock, though. I know he was released in both Trackmaster 2 and Motorized, but you never would have guessed him to be amongst the first characters shown in the style. Like Gordon James, he does suffer in some areas, but he already has an edge over his previous Trackmaster model for not having the stupid-ass steam painted on his side, as well as having the side of his running board being painted. Another interesting thing about both him and Gordon is that even though they reuse the same coupling rod style as everyone else in this revamp range, they do have a separate valve gear piece molded into their cylinders, sort of similar to the static coupling rod designs that old Trackmasters like Scarloey, Murdoch, and Hank had, for example. One more thing about them is that I'm pretty sure they have removable coal pieces. You don't see the coal in James and both of Gordon's models, but if you look at the cargo pieces in the tank engine's freight cars, the coal there appears to be the same length and width to be able to fit inside their tenders. So, whoever displayed these accidentally placed their coal inside the cars. And for further proof, that solo image of Thomason have any coal in the car visible. And last, but certainly not least, there's the legend, the idea, the man, Duck. And yeah, I lost my mind when I saw him. The fact that we got images of Motorized CGI Duck before All Engines Go Motorized Duck. Flying Scotsman getting a Motorized model was one thing, because one already existed in the original line. But this is our first Motorized Duck model since 2013. You never would have expected him to get a new model this late into the game. My guy and Scotsman got models before Emily, and that's crazy. Low-key, prob my favorite, tied with Thomas. I just think Percy looks the best in all areas. In proportion-wise, Duck is flawless. However, something I noted is that it appears he's going to have a push-along Ashima effect on his model, because he has visible unpainted buffers on his rear and no visible poking buffers on his front, meaning that he has a painted front buffer beam, but due to the way how they go about characters with different colored buffer beams and running boards, they sacrifice having three-dimensional buffers with flat ones, and that'd be fine if the back had the same treatment too. But yeah, other than that, Duck hella fine. He cool. I'll also talk about the rolling stock real quick, because they look cool as well. It's clear they also take inspiration from the All Engines Go Motorized designs, as a lot of them are taller, and I'm fine with that. The Troublesome trucks are the same models from 2021, but with painted details, at least on these versions. The mail car seems to take the mold from the All Engines Go version, though I'm hoping this one got an enclosed roof, and Percy and Nia's packs also got brake vans. That's something else I never thought I would see again in a Motorized line, not counting Bruno. They're a bit AEG-ified with their rounded tops and roofs, but I still think they look great, and we're also getting an express coach in this line. That's wild. Now, I'm not sure how many remember or knew, but the last time we did get a Motorized or Trackmaster Express coach was the one that came with that Talking Gordon in 2021, but that wasn't a standard regular express coach like the one shown here. By the look of it, it seems to be modified from the All Engines Go Annie and Clarabelle, but I still think it looks pretty alright. I'm honestly just happy to be getting another one of these again, and the same goes for all of these models. But bruh, like, with all the characters that were shown off here, man, I'm excited to see who else they could be making for these revamp ranges. I can definitely see the rest of the Steam team being made for both, but like with Duck and Scotsman being included in this new Motorized line and stuff, like the LMS brake van and express coach, low-key, we could get more than what the original Motorized did, at least for characters they never had the chance to do. Like, I'm not expecting ones like Boko or Lady, because no offense to those characters. Besides Bulstrode, I don't think they're touching characters who didn't appear in the CGI series ever again. But like, legit, we might actually get a new Motorized Oliver, and one that doesn't look like ass. I don't try to get too hopeful for stuff like this, because I try to think rationally about how lines like this might go, but like, what if we get Toby, and I'm sure they'll make him, but like, what if they have him in a 2-pack and we also get Henrietta? Like, I really want to see where these lines go about, especially Push Along, because if we get Duck there, as well as even, like, Flying Scotsman, I don't even know what I'll say. I might actually cry. And I'm not one for crying over things like Thomas or toys. But, like, you guys really ought to thank whoever designed the Launch and Go Push Along and Motorized models. According to this comment on the community post I made about it the other day, apparently the lead designer behind the Pixar Cars diecast designed these. I don't know how true that is, but I'd say it seems believable. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Launch and Go merch still influenced these redesigns in some way. Regardless of how you feel about the series, you can't look me straight in the face and say that they don't look accurate to what they're based on, unlike the original series models. I don't think if whatever team that was designing the original series merch was still doing it, that we would be getting designs like this. That's not to bash the original models, more specifically the Motorized ones, because just about every push along there was dog water. Motorized still had good and even great ones like Nia, Ashima, Hurricane, and Etienne, and obviously, not everyone here is completely flawless, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, and like I said, we probably wouldn't have this without the Launch and Go merch. It's only March, and even though these haven't released yet, I think the 80th anniversary has already surpassed the 70th in terms of merchandise, because that year we only had like 2 new molds made for the anniversary, and then coming here 10 years later, you got all this. The new Motorized and Push Along Thomases were just the appetizers. This is the main meal, and I couldn't be more hungry. Though, in this case, it might be Mattel that's the hungry ones. Whatever, they won this time. Also, why did it take this long to give a standard Percy model a lamp?